I would say I think I still haven't grasped the magnitude and the impact of the morning thoughts. Um, Mainly because for me it started out as sharing with just close friends. It was firstly just a list where I was just sharing things and jokes with friends, and then I started wanting to share like messages, and then it wasn't. I don't know if you remember, but it was not as consistent. I think last
Correct.
year.
True. So
Yeah,
true. So true.
and then my nephew told me, he said, "You know what? Um, I look forward to these morning thoughts. They've helped me, as you've been saying, they've helped me and they keep me going. And sometimes when I haven't sent, then he would say, "Hey, I please send something, don't stop." And then I
Yeah.
thought, okay, let me then start keeping it going. But
Yeah.
I think it changed as well when I started reading. I think the book that changed me was the 5 a.m. Club, where Robin Sharma encourages people to wake up in the morning and to just develop a morning routine. So from there, I started, okay, I'm awake. Let me now start with the consistency.
Yeah.
So I started,
True.
and the more I shared, the more people gave feedback. The more feedback I got, the more I realized now this has grown beyond me. So
True.
to me, it's something that has grown beyond me, but whose impact maybe I'm yet to see, and maybe the day I meet someone who is not receiving them directly from me and gets to say, dude, this thing has done this.
Mm.
But in all honesty, I would say it was an inspiration from God, and he also continues to sustain me to keep sending them. I hope one day to also share some of the other testimonies from other
Mm.
people.
Yeah, true, true. We never know what God has in store for us, eh? But believe you me, the biggest success in life is to actually tap into your own purpose. And I'm telling you, this is now spreading like a wildfire because it's impacting on so many people. You can imagine the many clients that I see on a daily basis, the many
Yeah.
people that I speak to on the phone via WhatsApp and all that. That whenever I speak to a client, I'll start first, with them the legal nitty gritties and stuff, and then at the end, I'll still about 5 minutes just to share with them a bit of the morning thoughts. And believe you me, the morning thoughts have confronted me as well,
Yeah.
painfully so at times. At times they've sent me back to the things that I had buried or packed or put in the corner, because I'm one person. Whenever I'm facing challenges, I like applying what I call the bite-sized chunk approach.
Okay.
I've coined that approach for myself in the sense that I shy away from dealing with challenges at the same time. I put them in a bag, and then whenever I feel, ready and feel motivated to go and peep into the bag, I go and peep in, take out, and then do like this. Can I really deal with it? If I can't, I take you back to the bag. And I've done that. And today topic, the morning thought that I've just chosen, it's very closer to my heart
Yeah.
because I'm one person that um have, and I've also have had relationships with things. I won't say people, things. People aside, things, for example, like career, things like the things that I used to own or that I used to have. And when I read that morning thought that day, whew, sure,
Mm.
it took me back to places. It took me back to places, and it also took me to my first major romantic relationship that actually ended uh, traumatically. It was my fiance, whom I had met, as he was actually my first boyfriend for that matter, and was the father of my first late child as well.
Yeah.
So you can imagine, we started as friends for 3 years, and then it went into a relationship, and just a full blown relationship. I remember we started dating on a Sunday, and me and him promised each other a forever. And he basically said to me, "You know what? Till death do us part." And indeed, death did us apart. And it took me 15 years. to get
Sure.
over him. So I was actually married to that particular relationship for 15 years. He
Yeah.
was no longer there. And I think I was spiritually married to that relationship such that it became a benchmark for subsequent relationships in everything that I did. He passed away tragically in a car accident. At the time, our child was 1 year, 3 months old.
Aish.
So my daughter then did not know how her father looked like, although they had a very, very, very close relationship. So for that particular 15 years, firstly, I mourned on behalf of my daughter, because when I looked at her, I always wanted to overcompensate, to say, you know what, I want to be a daddy and a mommy at the same time. And I think that from that, I made terrible mistakes, but valuable lessons were learned. And this speaks to the morning thought for today, in the sense that I think life passed me by
Yeah.
because what I did, I actually wrote myself a framework, although it was not in writing. I think it was an invisible framework where everybody who entered my life, they had to pass the test in terms of what my late fiance had. I lost valuable relationships. I also lost valuable friendships, in the sense that I would always, judge people and say, you know what, when I met this guy, I was a nobody, and I believe he loved me wholeheartedly. Yes, he was not perfect, but you know what, I believed that we were actually building onto something. And now everybody that came into my life, the first impression and the first perception that I had about them was that they are coming in to come and have a slice of the pie. And
Okay.
the minute you enter my life, it will be like, you know what, you are missing one, two, three, four ingredients that Eddie had, and therefore you don't actually belong in my cycle. And as a result, to this day, it has impacted negatively on the relationships that I have, especially with friends. I'm one person. To this day, I cannot even point at this person and say this is my best friend because of that.
Yeah.
It has impacted on the way I trust people. But now, after the morning thought actually hit me on the chest, it really hit me on the chest. I went back and reflected. I reflected and I said, now when I'm sitting here, can I count the number of friends that I had when I was at primary school? Can I count the friends that I had at primary school? Can I now count, or maybe pick up my phone and speak to someone that I was friends with at the university? I can't. I
Yeah,
cannot,
because of that. Yeah.
because they failed that master test. They failed
Yeah.
the AD test. They did not meet the requirements of the framework. And then I decided that, you know what, I need to start working on myself to actually start letting go. It is unfair. This person passed away in 2005, but even in 2020, he's still in my life. And pressing the remote and pressing the buttons, would he be happy to know that I'm still holding on and hanging on to the memories, or the memory of him being a bigger part of my life?
Yeah.
So
Sure.
it's actually very, very sad. It's actually very, very, very sad, because today I look at the rubbles that are left from the framework that I actually applied and damaged so many things. So holding on, the disease, holding on is actually a problem. It
Yo.
is a problem. You're applying for suicide.
Ne. And yo, you've said so much. And as you're talking, I'm thinking of when you've held on to something that you treasured so much and for so long that you made it the standard, you made it the benchmark, and here you are now having to let go. You know, letting go is not the easiest thing to do. How
Never,
did
never.
how
Easier
have
said than
have
done.
have you actually let go, and how hard was it or how easy was it?
I have not let go as yet.
Uh,
I met the morning thought concept on letting go just a few weeks ago.
yeah,
And for me, believe you me, I actually wrote it out on a piece of paper and plucked it on the inner part of my closet. So every time I open my closet, I read it every day. And I've also now introduced a new routine in terms of which when I get off from Gautrain, I no longer take the bus. I actually start walking from the Gautrain station, Bosman, to Pretoria Central. For me to start, reflecting, because really I need to shred this thing. I need to shed it off. It is not easy. It's actually easier said than done. I want to share with you that letting go, it's never easy. I'm one person that, I think I've now discovered something about myself. And it also confronted me of actually revisiting the issue of my career that I'm also going to touch on now. That I think I'm a person that is very sentimental. I've discovered that about myself. That once I believe that this is mine, I tend to, put a super glue on so that I get attached to it for the longest period.
Yeah.
I've discovered that about myself recently. And I've discovered that, and that's the reason why each and every day, I am tapping into the best memories that I had of that relationship. And then I start exploring on that. And then from there, I walk into my office, and then 5 minutes, and then I start a prayer and I ask God to actually intervene, because really I need that intervention. Because remember, He is the one that is the giver of life.
Yes.
He gives us life, but I'm not going to stand here and say He also takes life. I don't know, because I think that is a different, a dynamic altogether, and it's so above me that I can start saying God also takes life and all that. But I'm telling you now, I say to God, you brought me here for a particular purpose. You brought Eddie for a particular purpose into my life. Although his light shone, it shone very, very, short. It was very short, because the relationship only lasted only for 1 year, 4 months from the friendship. From the friendship. And I kept on saying, and then I said to God, there was a reason why He had to come into my life. What lessons can I draw from the purpose, from the light that He showed? And the first one was that if there's anybody that actually taught me about taking responsibility, it's Him. Because remember, this is the person that I met when I was still at university. And then subsequent to that, I had a child. He was in our life for that short period, and then boom, he vanished. Then I had to stand up and take responsibility. So that I've recently also discovered, to say, you know what, I had actually centered my life around him. I had actually forgotten about everything, but now this is the child that I need to parent going forward. How do I start? And then I stood up, and then I started hustling.
Yeah.
And the hustle continues. The hustle continues. And that is the memory that I'm going to be saying to him, that Eddie, kudos that you did. And now I'm learning each and every day that, you know what, I'm gonna have to let him go for him to rest in peace. But I'm gonna have to take his memory forward, of saying that you taught me to stand up and be the Josephine that I am. And the biggest one that actually excites me is that I am now a product of very many pockets of very many things. I can pinpoint at people and say, this one gave me this particular asset that I'm now owning. So now, believe you me, I take responsibility.
That is amazing. When you talk about letting go and how hard it is. So I used to have this thing of remembering the dates of when somebody in my family died. So the first person to die was my brother on the 18th of April, 1991. And then at that time, I think my father as well. Um, oh, no, no, no. It was my brother and then my grandmother who died on the 13th of May, same year, 1991. Now, what would happen is every year, when it came to April, I would want to remember that day and intentionally make myself feel sad, thinking, this is
Yeah, I
how I
can
want to
imagine.
remember, this is how I should remember them. Similar with my grandmother, until I came across a poem by Elizabeth Bishop, titled One Art. Now, that poem for me, it changed my life. It changed how
Wow.
I
Wow.
held on, how I let go, because the theme of it simply says that you many things in life are filled with the need to be lost. So,
Hmm.
so you teach yourself the art of losing. So that one art is the art of losing. So you start by losing a pen,
Wow.
like your simple plastic cheap pen that you would find, you lose it. And then you try and search for it, but then you realize it's lost. And then you teach yourself to accept that it's lost.
Wow.
And then you go
I'm
to
actually
something.
having goosebumps, eh? I'm actually having goosebumps. Wow.
Exactly. So you
Profound.
can imagine
Very, very
how I
profound.
felt. And then you move on to something bigger. So let's say you have one of those expensive metallic, very beautiful pens, and then you lose that, but not intentionally. When it's lost, again you teach yourself to accept that it's lost, and then you
Hmm.
go bigger, and then
Wow.
you go bigger.
Wow.
So it's like you lose something small, you allow yourself to accept that it's lost, and then you move on to the bigger one, to the bigger one. Eventually, you teach yourself with the bigger things, such as relationships, people. And for
Sure.
me, I got to a point where I would literally forget 18 April, I would forget 13 May, and I would remember long after it has passed that, oops,
Hmm.
by the
Wow.
way, it has happened. I remember 2006, our family experienced something very painful. Maybe not necessary. It was painful, but kind of shocking. My brother died, or I think it was in July, which was a Sunday. And in the week while preparing for his funeral, I think it was the Thursday, early Thursday morning, my younger sister also passed away.
Yeah. Yeah. I can
So, so,
imagine.
so you can imagine this week we burying my brother. Next week, then we already knew we were going to bury my sister. So it
Sure.
was that kind of week for us, or that kind of year. And then 2007, we lost another sibling.
Sure.
2009, we lost another one.
Hmm.
And despite all of that, because I had learned the art of letting go, of
Hmm.
accepting the
Wow.
loss,
Hellos.
it
Yeah.
got better, you know.
Hmm.
And for me, sometimes when I tell people, allow yourself to let go, they think, nah, when are you just saying it because it's easy?
Yeah.
Yes,
Hmm.
I'll admit.
True. True. Hmm.
Yes, I'll admit it is easier said than done. Sometimes you need somebody to say it who is not in it, right?
True.
So that you can receive. But when you are receiving, learning to let go, and not holding on too much, you are then having lessons of your own. And in
Absolutely.
10, in
Absolutely.
10, you now get to almost kind of pay it forward by encouraging somebody else to let go and move
Oh,
forward.
amen to that. Amen to that. You know what? Yeah, you're actually tapping into something also very, very close to my heart. And now it's something that happened to me about 8 years ago. But now, because of this, the art that I'm actually learning, and remember, I'm still learning. I'm not yet there. I'm not yet there.
Yes.
Um, I remember when I was still very young, I was a stammering person. I stammered very badly, such that I could not even raise my hand at school. Ne? And I'm going to pack that now for now. I'll bring it later and then show you the relevance. Right now, I would want to share with people and say to them, if you hold on to something, you never know. You actually pausing the clock, and you never know what is beyond that which you are holding on.
Yeah.
You never know. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna share with you a personal story. I am actually very blessed that I share with people stories, not what I read in the book. When I was young, I used to stammer a lot, and my folks were very worried about me taking a career in law. They were like, "Oh, how are you going to be addressing the judge and everything and the courts? Don't even go there." But I forced. And then I became an attorney. Becoming an attorney was a dream come true for me. It was my life. It was my everything. And believe you me, I lost it. It like went oof, down the drain. Gone, 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 gone. And I spent 6 years repeating the very same mistake of the 80 framework, chasing after it, fighting everything, fighting and wanting to get it back, wanting to get and fight. I was really fighting. Remember, I had not even come across the morning thought. I had not even read any book about the danger of holding on.
Yeah.
But let me tell you something that God actually was forcing into my life to say to me, hey, Wena, stop looking that side of this career of yours of being an attorney. You're actually something great. You're actually very big. And I want to show you. And I was like, you know what? No, I want it back. I want it back. And I want it back.
Yeah.
Ultimately, then I got a job at the Department of Justice. I am not blowing my trumpet. I am not blowing my trumpet. All of a sudden, the stammering disappeared.
Wow.
It disappeared.
Wow.
All of a sudden, I'm the most sought after person. Whenever people are looking for someone to come and address them on family related issues, I'm the number one. If I'm saying I'm not available, events get postponed and they wait for me. Something that I could not have done if I was still a practicing attorney. That I could not have met. Now, imagine me holding on to being an attorney and imagine what was beyond being an attorney. Today, I've been on all TV stations in South Africa. I've even been picked up to go to America. I taught America for 4 weeks.
Amazing.
Because somebody walked into my office and then said to me that somebody referred them to me, so they wanted me to help them. And believe you me, I did not know that the person that I was talking to was an ambassador from America.
Yeah.
And then I got an all-paid trip, all-funded trip to America to go and study about family law, something that I wouldn't have studied about because I am a conveyancer. I wouldn't have done that. And I've spoken on all radio stations in South Africa. I've attended events where I've been a VVIP. And I look back and I'm like, why did I force that door open? Why did I want to remain in that bus station? Why? And I started then beating myself up for that. But believe me, my brother, had I held on and refused to actually, and remember, I was actually peeping at God. I was not giving God my full attention. I was like, what do you want? I'm busy here. I'm busy fighting my own battles. What do you want? You disturbed me and was like, you know what? I'm sending you to that direction. Today and yesterday, I actually received good news of one of, I'll call them a client, such that where I work at the office of the chief advocate. Our main job is to protect the best interests of children, but I go beyond the call of duty in the sense that I help people with divorces, I help people with maintenance out of my own accord. It is not part of my KPIs in my performance agreement, but I just do it. And I always say to people, I'm doing this people for you for free because I feel good about it. So someone phoned me yesterday and said to me, my sister, you are a fighter. That tough divorce that I was engaged in for 7 years got settled because you intervened. Wow. I've got voice recordings from mothers, from a mother that actually reduced me to tears, that said to me, morning, Mama Peta, thank you so much for intervening. After you intervened, the court now has paid the maintenance. I went and bought my child's school shoes. I cried. Wow. I cried. And, I've got so many stories from clients that in the ordinary sense of the word, I wouldn't have met if I was still practicing. In the ordinary sense of the word, I shouldn't even be assisting because I have not signed with the department to do that. But now I am doing it, simply because I am now loving this thing that I was actually forced into it because I did not want to be here. I did not want my at all. I hated it. I actually, jumped into it simply because I was like, okay, you know what? Let me just rather now take the break. Meanwhile, it was actually the break that was meant to happen. So do not hold on. You don't know what is beyond you holding on, what is beyond that situation that you are currently facing. Beyond it, there's something that is going to tap into your calling. Today, I stand here with pride and say, imagine you are being told that pack your luggage. You don't even have to pack your clothes or anything. Just be at the airport. Here are your details. Here is the money. all expenses paid. Here's your pocket. Imagine I was given a pocket money
Sure.
of 21,000 to buy food. Whereas I was booked into hotels. I taught 7 states in the US simply because of where I was thrown into at the time when I was trying to hold on to something that was actually gone. It was gone,
Look at God.
but I was chasing it.
Yeah.
So I want to share with you that do not, I'm telling you, if you drop what you're holding on to today, believe you me, you'll give me a call tomorrow and say, I'm telling you, after shifting that which I was holding on to, today I'm actually sitting inside Bata. So I'm one of those lucky people that are now swimming in Bata. I'm a very content person and I'm an extremely happy person because of I had discovered something. I had discovered more than a diamond in my life.
Yeah. That is way more than a mouthful. Like I mean, it renders me speechless. I don't even want to add anything onto it. But I want us to go back, right, to something very profound that you've said. And I want to go back because it hits a lot of us a lot and so many times. Letting go of somebody who has died so that they can rest in peace. That is something we underestimate. I've kind of believed it. I've kind of wanted to say it, but at times I tend to think it's maybe me being me or me being selfish or not wanting to understand the other person's perspective or their need to hold on to this memory of this person. But when you said it, I felt it's something that one needs to go back to.
True.
When you actually say to someone, rest in peace, when you want something to rest, you leave it alone.
True. So
But
true.
whenever you rehash it, this is what I believe, that whenever you rehash the experience, you're bringing it to life. So
True.
let's not really take death. Let's say I did something wrong to you 3 4 years ago, right? And I apologized, and you said, okay, I forgive you. And then the following year, you bring it back. No, but when you did this, how?
Yeah, yeah.
I thought we were past that. Now you're bringing it back. So that
Mm.
means it's really not resting. It's you
Exactly.
are not
It's
content.
lingering.
You don't have any peace about it. And there's something that you always keep holding on to that you don't want to let go. You come back again. I do something and then it reminds you of what I did, and then you bring that back again. So
That's very good.
similar to somebody dying, and then we say rest in peace. But in us saying rest in peace, we basically just saying let your body just be there, but I still want you.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it's almost like we don't want to let them rest in peace.
Mm.
Maybe we want them to rest wherever they are, but not in peace because we keep bringing their memory back.
Bringing them back, yeah. And you know what? I believe, I always also want to tap back into my memory of being a child. As a child, when people are gone, we believe they are angels, they are somewhere else and all that. So, and imagine trying to bring them back uh, after they have served their purpose. That is actually cruel. It
Ish.
is the worst form of cruelty because
Yeah.
now you are actually and I remember seeing my late fiance in his casket. Her head was actually cut off because of the accident. Was actually very, 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 very terrible. But now, after, and I'll keep on referring to the morning thought as a person. After meeting the morning thought, after meeting them the morning thought, and I'm like, you know what? Do I really want him to go through the pain that he felt prior to
Ish.
him passing? The car actually rolled so many times that it cut off his head. I can imagine the pain. I mean, his body was in pieces. Do I really, and I would start imagining him screaming, or was he crying? Was he screaming? Was he calling for help? What was happening? Did And for me, it was like, you know what? This is actually very cruel. That is why I ended up writing it down. I actually wrote the entire morning thought on holding on down on a piece of paper, took sellotape, opened my closet, and then put it there. Believe you me, when I take out my clothes, any form of clothes, jacket, anything that I'm going to wear, I look at that and then I look and then I read. After reading, remember I even said I've got a new form of, a new routine.
Yeah.
And now every day as I walk, and I'm like, do I really want to bring him back to suffer the pain that he has suffered? Why don't I respect him much of actually giving him the title of him being my angel, him being my guardian angel and guiding me through? And remember the clock that I had stopped
Yeah.
because of holding on to him, such that I had introduced life-changing things that today we would not be talking of Lutando had I not made the
Yes.
morning thought. remember,
Yes.
remember the first time when I think I saw you in December, and then I was telling you that I've just had the good news we're expecting and da 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 and all that. It
Yes.
was basically about a few months after the morning thought, right? And the morning thought, apart from this one, remember I told you how it impacted on my life, and
Yeah,
I
I
started
remember. I think that
commenting
was like
vigorously.
around last year, October.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I started commenting vigorously around, on the morning thought. One of the life-changing thing that I had introduced because of the Eddie framework, I'm calling it Eddie framework because of Eddie was his name, was that I will never ever have a child in my life.
Yeah.
I had I had I had made a decision about this, such that if my firstborn child was still alive, should have been 17 years older than Lutando today.
Yeah.
But
Imagine.
I met the morning thought, and then I started. That is why I said to you that this man called the morning thought, or this woman called the morning thought, always confronts me, always makes me go and then shy in my own corner and like, yeah, but really, am I doing justice to myself? Do I love myself enough? And then I will reflect and reflect and reflect, and then the more I share with people, the more I also learn from
Yeah.
their stories as well. And I decided that, what, let me live a little, man, live a little, live a little, and then I lived a little. And today we have Lutando that is making noise day and night. And last night I actually even said to my husband that, what, had you ever dreamed that we would have this kind of noise in our house? And his smile, he didn't answer, but his smile said, it gave me a zillion answers in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'll go back and say, do not hold on. Do not make life-changing decisions simply because of holding on to something that is long past. It's long gone. 15
Yeah.
years is not a child's play.
And I think there's another part on the morning thought that I also just want to touch on. Um, Let me just see. So it's the second sentence. No one can ever truly tell us when to let go and when
True.
to keep holding on and keep hoping. And this is, I think, for me, this is very important in that whenever, so I would talk to people about relationships, and when they are in relationships and somebody is frustrated, I would ask them what is it that they want to do, but I would never be in a position to tell them go, let go, break it
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
and
Ooh,
move on. Because
yeah.
at the end of the day, I am not the one who is going to experience the pain. I'm not the
Mm.
one who's going to go through the loss. But all I can do is simply say, decide what you want. If what you
True.
want
So
is
true.
to walk away, then walk away. But if you want to stay, then give it your all in making it work.
Yeah.
And when
So
somebody
true. So
says, I want to walk away, okay, but when you walk away, realize that you will experience pain. Maybe the other person won't be ready to let you go.
true.
And you'd have to
True.
deal with that. And a friend once introduced me to a very interesting concept or principle, which I've bought into ever since. He said, when you want to leave a relationship, leave the relationship sober. You know, um,
Yeah.
that was Nhlanhla Zwane. He says, when you've been in a relationship and you see that it doesn't work, before you even break it off. Resolve with yourself that first you are going to leave. Once you've decided that you are going to leave, then in your mind, work out your emotions. Make sure that by the time you say, "Mfethu, we are done," right?
Yeah.
You don't have any toxicity inside of you.
Mm.
You don't feel any resentment towards that person. That now you're
Wow.
simply walking away because you just want to start something anew.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
it must always be a choice of that person to
Mm.
let go.
Yeah.
All we
Sure.
can do is simply to say, here, you can choose to stay, you can choose to go. If
Mm.
you want to go, this is what can happen. If you want to stay, then this is what can happen.
Sure.
And then just before you also come in, there's another concept principle actually that you touched on. Very interesting. That you were going beyond the call of duty to assist someone who turned out to be an ambassador, who then opened the door for you to be in the US for 4 weeks, all expenses paid
Yeah.
trip. Now, it takes me back to my own account some years ago when I was working at a coffee shop, and in at that on that day on shift I was on the till, and I somehow grew a love for people, and I was friendly, and the lady I was engaging with, I was friendly. I greeted her very bubbly, and we engaged, and she seemed to be impressed. She asked me, "A person like you should be going places." And then I said to her, "Yes, I am." And then she says, "Well, what do you want to do?" We
Mm.
spoke, and then she says, "Here's my email address. Send me your CV."
Wow.
I got into a program that required a BCom, and I didn't have any.
Wow.
And I got appointed into a job when I didn't have a qualification. And
Wow.
and ever since then I've
Wow.
grown. Fast forward to a more recent example or story.
Mm.
Just yesterday, I was at a hardware store, and I had a couple of things in my basket. And then there was an elderly white gentleman who kind of looked, Afrikaans kind of. I'm mentioning that intentionally. Um, he looked like, those of people that you just don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
Anyway, he came in behind me, and he had one item. So I looked at him. I was like, "No, but you've got one item, so you can go before me." He says, "No, it's fine." I said, "No, you can go. I insist." And then he went in front, and he seemed appreciative that he started engaging in conversation. Um,
Mm.
Little did I know that he was a pastor. And
Wow.
and and, and he told
On
me
the
that,
way.
and he didn't even say I'm a pastor, but he just says, "Oh, Utsako guy," and he started speaking to me in Sesotho even.
Wow.
So that for me was just another
Nice.
thing. To turn out that he's also a man of the cloth, and I had been kind to him, but also he was just an elderly gentleman. He happened to be of a
Yeah.
different skin color than myself, but we related on a human level. I don't know what the results of those are. Maybe it was just that incident, but it's important for us to just be kind. It's important
True.
for us to go, when we're doing our jobs, go beyond the call of duty, because we just never know. And we shouldn't go beyond
Telling
the
you.
call of duty because we think somebody else will give us something.
Yes. True. True.
Lastly, when we do our jobs, right, and we do them excellently, we never know whose life we may be saving. We
So
may
true. Eh?
encounter somebody, maybe somebody comes to you, a mother, a father has been frustrated for so long. They feel that the system is failing them, that just this one last time they'll give it a push. And if it fails, that's it, they're going to end their life, right? And
Mm.
they come to you, and you treat them in the most horrible way because you're absorbed in your own world.
Yeah.
And then you learn that after they walked away from you, they committed suicide. No,
Sure.
it doesn't matter how ignorant you may be, but at some point that gets to you.
It
And
will.
imagine
It
then
will.
a vice versa of that, that you gave them your best. And they, at the end of the session, would actually say, you know what, my sister, I had resolved that after this, depending on the outcome, and if I was frustrated today again, I would just call it quits and end my life. Imagine what that would do
Sure.
to.
Yeah. Then you would know that you've actually touched someone's life. You've actually changed their life. You've actually started a new thing altogether.
Yes.
You know, this man or this lady called holding on. You know, recently I was sharing with my brother. I think maybe on WhatsApp you've seen my statuses before. I always love talking about my dad more than anyone.
Yeah.
Um, I don't remember posting about my mom because over the years I had been very bitter. I had been very angry with my mom for having treated me the way that she had treated me. My mom was a very strict person. She was a very strict person. Strict to you know, I remember I used to be beaten with a fan belt.
Yo.
I remember that she would send me to go and fetch water, and then when I'm busy holding the bucket, she'll just give me the hottest slap ever, and the water will spill all over the place, and then she will tell me you're going to mop that water now within like minutes. That's the kind of a punisher that my mom was at the time. But recently, and because of the morning thought, I'm telling you now,
Mhm.
me and my brother are now using her so-called stands as you know, like we laugh about them and we look at ourselves and then we say, you know what? Remember how mommy used to treat you. Look at yourself today. Today you are a lawyer, and to me, you are the most powerful woman I've ever met because after becoming a lawyer, before then we were very destitute at home. You built us a home. You took me to school. I've got 3 qualifications because of you, and you did it single-handedly.
Wow.
And he said, if it wasn't for those beatings, I don't think you'd be what you are today. Because look at the sibling before you. You guys are miles apart, and people like criticizing him that he's actually more fonder than me, more than our other sibling. And then his response, he said to me that he says to them, but you know, Kgaugelo actually has a sense of responsibility. She's very responsible. You can relate to her, and you know, she's not scared of holding the gun and actually shooting. And I'm telling you that I never knew that about myself, but my brother always shares with me. And I always say to him that you also get a fair share of your beating. And then he would show me a scar on his head and said, yeah, this is mommy's scar. Whenever I miss her, I look at this. But the lesson that we can take from that is that if mommy was not that cruel, in quotes, I don't think we would be here. I
Yeah.
do not think it. Go back to where I come from. I was actually the first person to get educated. At some point in 1999, I was the only student that passed matric in my high school because
You?
that woman was actually very, yes. So lately, because of the morning thought, I look back and I reflect and I say, Mommy, if you were here, I would kiss you a billion times because today I've got principles.
Yeah.
There are things that I would dare not do because she instilled those principles in me. What I'm trying to say here is that I am not trying to live my life through her, but I've now created a bag where I've put in pockets of lessons that I always go and take out and say, Mommy, thank you. I wouldn't be able to look at this. And today, I survived the traumatic experience of my law firm going down and losing everything. There was a point when I was actually supposed to go and stay in the streets,
Yeah.
but I had been very tenacious because I was raised by that tenacious woman, by that strong woman that actually said to me, you are not going to depend on anybody. You are going to stand up and wake up and do it yourself. So those hot claps that I got were actually saying, imagine if life gives you this hot clap whilst you're busy carrying this bucket of water and it spills. What do you do? So she taught me how to actually think very quickly, diversify, and multitask at the same time. So today I can actually kiss my mommy. So the resentment that I used to have and harbor towards her, it is slowly but surely fading away like mist is seeing the sun.
Oh, what do you say to that?
I'm
What do you
telling you, I'm
say?
telling you.
Sure. It's your story. I think I remember even from last year, October. Um, I think it was almost 2 weeks or a week of me sharing daily and then you giving feedback daily. And I remember those lengthy sharings. And I would think, but how and that was the most mysterious thing about it is I would share. For me, it's okay. What can I say today? I would meditate about it and then put it on. And somehow I wouldn't feel so, yay, yes, oh, this is powerful, right?
Yeah, true. Yeah, yeah.
But
Because you never know, eh?
yeah, and then the feedback comes and I'm like, oh, what? You
I'm
know?
telling you.
And
I
and
am
and that
telling you.
week, and that week when you were just, hey, I was like, I must say, I was really surprised. I was really amazed. And it's almost as if I kept sharing, and then you kept coming back with feedback. You kept coming back with feedback. And now I realize this thing is just one lesson after the other.
True.
And you mentioned bags, that you carry. It's like grocery bags. You you buy something through your own experiences, you put it in your bag. When you meet someone, you just take and you give to them. And I think
So
that's
true. So true.
that's the beauty of life, that when you have all these lessons that you've learned, there are like maybe a different variety of fruits, and there's so much food in there that if you don't give it out or if you don't give it away to somebody else, it will become too heavy for you.
Wow, so profound.
You
So
know,
profound.
that
So
as you walk
profound.
through life, it's almost like you have to, like, it's not a choice. Each day you have to at least take one thing out of there and give it to someone, and let them eat of it. And then you move on, you let it be, because you're also creating space to receive something new. And
So
and for
true.
me,
So true.
this is what has happened. Um, I've had morning thoughts downloaded into my bag and I've given them out as they came. And there you are. Even in sharing your reflection, I got to learn some more new things. And then it means now I still have the responsibility towards another person to take out of my bag and
Please
give.
do. Please do. Please. You're actually taking me back to Second Corinthians. I always say Apostle Paul is actually, the person that I refer to whenever I'm facing challenges. He says, he brags about his weaknesses more than anything.
Yeah.
As people, we have pride. We shy away from sharing things that we feel, what, I've actually blundered here. What will people say? But because of the journey that I'm on, and my friend here being the morning thought, these days I brag about things that I would never breathe to a soul. I would never, because I don't want to look stupid. I don't want people saying, but she's got a cum laude and then she went and failed in that whatever and doing it. But today, I'm telling you now, I brag about those things. There's somebody who actually confessed to me to say to me, after I actually shared my story about what happened to me in the law firm and all that, they were actually going through the same thing.
Wow.
They were actually going through this, and then they decided to raise their hand and go and seek help. So you never know who you're touching. You may think you may take the morning thought for granted, but for me, you've actually created a new friend for me that confronts me on a daily basis.
Yeah.
There was a time when, during that October, so many things were happening in my life. And because of the morning thought and because of, I started getting confronted and I started going down on my knee and praying very hard, big changes happened in my life. I saw progress in one major big issue that was troubling me, and I think we should have another session of morning thought where I need to share that, because it's another topic on its own.
Yeah.
But the morning thought today is my friend that I read and then I go like, yeah, you know what? Here, I think I was missing the point. Then I start doing my own working, and then I sing, and then I pray, and then I go into Apostle Paul mode and start
Yeah.
bragging about darkest things that, you know, if I, because I used to think I would share with the people and then they'll start blackmailing me to more about, but today they're actually even educational. So please empty the bag. Empty the bag, because
Yes.
each and every food has an expiry date.
Yo. Yeah. You see there now. You see there now. You're starting another thing. You see now. Yo, expiry
I'm
dates.
telling, I'm telling you,
You
expiry
know,
date.
when you talk about the weaknesses, you remind me of 2 Corinthians 12, verse 8, where Paul says, not once, not twice, but 3 times I prayed to the Lord to remove this thorn on my side.
Yes.
You know, like, dude, what kind of a God are you? I pray
Yeah.
the first time. I pray, and you still say no, right? But God says, my grace is sufficient
It's
for you.
sufficient.
For my strength is made perfect in your weakness. So in our weaknesses, that's why I think Paul comes back and says, I brag about my weaknesses, because that's where God comes through.
So true.
That's where God comes out, and he becomes this amazing God, who works in me, through me, and shows me that I don't need to take away this weakness. There is a purpose for this weakness,
Exactly for
because
that.
if I
So
don't
true.
have this thorn on my side, I will be arrogant. I will be ignorant. I will be
Conceited.
puffed up.
I'm telling you. And imagine how many lives you touch because of that weakness.
No.
How many lives do you touch? Because how many corpses woke up from the depression mortuary because you shared and say, don't see me appearing on TV, don't see me having a beautiful hairstyle, don't see me staying in my beautiful house and all that. I am also a person, but when the mountain is high, I don't falter. When the
Yeah.
valley is low, when it's very low, it doesn't stop me. I start devising the means of saying, can I cross? What do I do? Do I lie low and then crawl and then go to the other end? So you never know what, and that particular scripture of Paul speaks to the issue of holding on. It
Yes.
speaks to to the issue of holding on. So
Yeah.
share. I'm telling you, then you actually you waking up depression corpses in the depression mortuary.
Yeah. I'm full now. I'm full, and I think one thing about the morning thought reflections, right, is that once I'm done, and we stop recording and the session is over, I kind of feel empty.
Mm.
That, like, I need to. It's like I've taken myself out, but at the same time, it's quite a confusing thing. I feel full, in that I've received so much that I need to
So
unpack
true.
it.
Mm.
You know,
Mm.
empty in the sense that I've given, but full in the sense that I've received from you.
Mm.
So it's an amazing feeling that I can't explain, and I just want to thank you for making the time, and just opening yourself up, and opening your world, and sharing this. It's really amazing.
It's my pleasure, and this was very therapeutic. And last words from for me would be that letting go is a journey, and believe you me, it is an uncharted journey. Nobody can come
Yes.
back and say, "I did it this way." It is
Yeah.
uncharted. So go and chart it yourself. Do it your own way. Just walk it. Just start. Start at point one. You can take years in that point one, but ultimately you will make a step to the point two. It is a journey. Enjoy it, but believe you me, it is a journey that you can enjoy because it is full of ups and downs. There are days when you feel good, and then tomorrow you feel like, you know what, I've taken 15 steps back, but you know what, we soldier on. We just
Yeah.
shoulder on.
Thank you, Mami, for your
Thank you,
time.
Didi.
I really appreciate you. Keep being
Thank
the
you,
powerful
thank you.
woman that you are.
Thank you so much.